Hey there, it's David Gordon. I'm here with Aaron Lazar, one of the stars of the new Fox series Filthy Rich. It is a delightful show. It's on currently running. I think next week will be episode 3. Hi, Aaron. Thanks for talking about the show.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on. Hi, everybody.
Tell me about when you first got the script. Like, did they come to you? Did you go in to audition for it?
I was the last person to be cast in the show. They had cast the show, shot the pilot, recast this role, and then recast the role again. And then I was the third actor, and happily the actor that stuck for the part. But I was on the road with Evan Hansen,
Right,
and got the audition. Carrie Barden, casting director, cast me in my first movie, The Notorious Betty Page. Mm-hmm. So Carrie and I go way back. And I taped. I owe Christiane Knoll dinner because she helped me tape in whatever city we were in. And I was like, if I book this job, I will buy whoever is helping me read for auditions, buy a nice dinner. So Christiane, I owe you a nice dinner. And then there was no time because they were about to start pilot reshoots and go directly from episode 101 into 102. And so they used my tape as a screen test. And within a couple days, I was in New Orleans and on set, which was wild.
Did you have to leave the tour to go do this?
I did, yeah.
What was that like for you to just be like, did you feel like you had an unfinished business with the Dear Evan Hansen character by the time you had to leave? Like, do you feel like there's still more that you want to do with it?
I'm laughing because Larry and Cynthia they're in grief the entire show.
Yeah.
And I guess Zoe, the Murphys are just in grief.
Right.
And
not the happiest characters.
What's that?
Not the happiest characters.
There's not a ton of joy. There's a lot of pain. And so, no, there was nothing I needed. There was nothing left with Larry, but I had enough time. It was sort of like, I'm trying to remember because it was a year ago now, but I think it was like I got the job, went to New Orleans, did some press, photo shoot, and then flew back, finished Evan Hansen that weekend. And like right after the last show on that Sunday night was back in New Orleans to start shooting Monday. So I kind of got like this is cool. I'm going to go do this TV thing. Let me finish Evan Hansen and then let me go do the TV thing. So I got to say goodbye to everybody. And producers were great and let me out a little bit early. So that was cool.
What was it that interested you in the part? You play Reverend Paul Thomas. And, well, I guess tell us, for the people that don't know the show, how that character factors into the plot.
Yeah, so Paul Luke Thomas, Kim Cattrall and Gerald McRaney play the Monroes, who are the owners of this billion-dollar Christian television network. And my character is the reverend of the ministry. So he sort of he's the face of the ministry. And vies for power with Kim's character once it's discovered that her husband, Eugene, has died in a plane crash. She's going to take over. She inherits this whole network. And who's going to sort of run it? Who's going to be,
Yeah.
Who's going to be in charge? And everyone has their sort of plans for what each character is sort of vying for power and money.
Where do you begin? Like, I don't know if you're like the kind of actor that like researches a lot of things when you get a part, but I can imagine that the world of Christianity and all of that is far from what you've experienced. Like, did you research this sort of thing before you started doing the show, or in the middle of your process?
Well, you're right. I mean, I'm a nice Jewish boy from New Jersey, so Christianity was not the religion I was raised with. research, I liked every role sort of different. It's sort of, what do I need to help me create this character?
Yeah,
And also, what are the, sorry, I'm outside and there's
it's all good.
a loud truck. What do I need? You know,
Yeah,
like what parameters also am I working with? I didn't have a lot of time because, like I said, I mean, I was like thrown into shooting. So I had sort of my gut impulse as to like who I thought this guy was. And then there was like, okay, I have to, as we're shooting, I have to fill this out.
yeah,
And also, when you're a new series regular on a new television show, there's business stuff that's crazy where like your job isn't a lock like until like a couple weeks in. So there's also the pressure of like, I have to actually, sing for my supper,
yeah,
right? Like I could get fired, and like, so I have to knock this out of the park, but I have no time to put this character together. So, you do what you can. I mean, I had listened to Joel Osteen a ton sitting in traffic in LA on Sirius XM radio. So I had like his voice in my head, and something that I wanted to do there. And I watched a ton of like preachers on YouTube, and started with that.
What was the shooting in New Orleans like for you? Had you ever been in New Orleans for an extended period of time like this?
No, I'd done a play there in college as part of like a Tennessee Williams festival, and I'd been to New Orleans as a tourist, and hung out with family.
Yeah.
But this was New Orleans was awesome, and Corey and I lived in the same building, which was cool, in the Warehouse District. I mean, New Orleans is a great town to shoot in. I would love to work there again. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about, we were talking a bit before about how different the process was between like doing a play and doing a TV show like this. Tell me about that from your experience.
Yeah, well, in TV land, especially with a new show and a show that has so many plot twists, you get a script and then you're shooting it sometimes the next day. So
Right.
you don't have there's no like in the theater, you have a script well in advance and you're rehearsing that script, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week for a month. And then you're previewing that script. And so that is the story. In TV land, the story's changing every episode. And in our particular case, as I imagine it is with a bunch of shows, that you don't want any plot stuff leaking. I mean, when I did the Avengers stuff, no one was allowed to get those pages until like the moment the directors called you to set to rehearse, and except like Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
So like no one, like even like Chris Pratt and the Guardians were just like looking at this for the first time. Like it's crazy because Marvel has to protect that script.
But that must be like hell for an actor, just in terms of like memorizing the lines.
No, well, so in a movie you're shooting a page a day, or maybe 2 pages a day. So you got that. Plus, on the Marvel stuff, those guys have been playing those characters. It was terrifying for me because I was Doctor Strange for the first time right then, not like 10 movies before, where it's like old home week for them. But in TV, you're shooting more. You're shooting 6, 7, 8 pages, maybe more. So, you get them. Corey and I would rehearse sometimes the night before. I mean, it's all you can do. And they know that, and it moves fast. And so it's just, it is different. It's a different beast.
Is Kim Cattrall cool?
Yeah, she's cool, man. I mean, our characters play. It was crazy because I started in television in New York as an extra on Sex and the City, and then found myself, getting to play opposite Kim and sort of play, arch rivals on the show. It was so cool. Yeah, she was awesome. She always was sort of down to like, you want to work on this or run that, and so she was super accessible.
Was it as fun as it looked? We were talking about that because it looks like the show is a lot of fun to watch, but it looks like you guys are just having a great time doing it.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy, wild show of like the plot twists and turns are. It was always great to get that script and like not know where your character was going and what this guy was going to be up to. And for me, super super fun because of the performance aspects of the character in his ministry. So
Yeah.
like I've got a live studio audience and I've got sermons to give and songs to sing, and that was like dream come true to get to sing on TV, and bring all the theater stuff to the TV stuff.
Yeah, did they how did they work your theater background into it? Did they work your theater background into it?
I worked my theater background into it because again, I'm getting a script, and I think it was episode 6 or 7. There's a the piece of this, you read the script and the song
Right.
lyrics are in italics, and so I'm like, okay, I know I'm singing here, and you'll get like the scene in the script might be this much of a page, like it's not a lot, but what you don't know is that when you show up to set, the director's going to say, okay, so we're going to do the whole song, not just the 4 lines that were in the script. You're going to do the whole song, and then during the song we need you to heal people. And it's like, well, that's not in the script, and I didn't learn the whole song. And you don't tell this to anybody. You just run back to your trailer and immediately like
just learn
crash learn everything, and then work out the staging of healing people or whatever it was going to be. So I was basically responsible for staging my own numbers, which I also didn't know until like I just day one showed up, because I went right in and started shooting the pilot. And, if you remember from the pilot, it's Higher Love, and it's a lot. It's like big production number. And I thought, am I going to go to set, and is there going to be a choreographer there? Is there going to be people there? And it was just like, what's up, Lazar? Do your thing. And I was like, okay, I'm really glad I like worked out my thing.
Yeah.
Must
have been the polar opposite from Dear Evan Hansen.
Well, it was the polar opposite of Phantom of the Opera, I would say, right? Like, I remember Phantom was my first Broadway show, and I didn't know what to expect. And I was understudying Raoul, and I would go to understudy rehearsal, and they'd be like, stand on this spot, move this arm on this exact word, and look in this exact direction. And you're like, oh, wow. So it's very, very, very structured and true to a form.
I didn't realize Hansen was one of those shows, but it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, very, very specific.
Was the Marvel experience for you like what was filming that stuff like?
It was cool. I don't really know how much I can talk about it.
I mean, you don't need to get technical, but like, was it like walking like through a dream, like a children's dream sort of thing, to get to do this stuff?
Yes and no. Yes, and wearing the costume.
Right.
Like throwing on the cape and then standing around every Avenger, like every one of them, like 20 of the biggest movie stars in the world. That was like kid dream coming true stuff. But the work's the work, right? It's like anything else. True. It's like you got to show up and you got to do the work.
Yeah. My favorite show of yours is still The Last Ship.
Oh, cool. Rachel Tucker just posted the Jimmy Fallon performance, and I hadn't watched anything from Last Ship. She just posted that yesterday, so it's funny they said that.
I love that show. I really love that show. Yeah, I don't have any questions about it. I just wanted to...
I love that show too, man. And I'm glad I got to see it out here in LA.
Oh, yeah, it must have been completely different out there.
Yeah, totally. Sting sort of, Sting's taken the show, made some really big changes, but the score is the score, and he's in it. And it's beautiful. It's just, it was beautiful out here to watch.
That score is unreal.
Yeah, it was a good show. I'm glad you got to see it.
Yeah, I saw it several times actually. I love, and it's funny. I love Sting and his music, but that show was like another level for him, just in terms of the score.
Yeah, I think when anything is that autobiographical, when you're writing
Yeah,
about, because the story is that he had writer's block for a while, basically, until he shifted from writing pop songs to writing songs about the people that he grew up with.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a beautiful sort of, it's like a tone poem in a way. It's this really cool score.
Yeah. Anyway, Aaron, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, David. It's great to talk to you, man. And
Yeah, you
I
too.
hope things are good in New York.
Same everywhere, I think. Minus
minus the earthquakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're referring to the 80 plus or 100 plus earthquakes that have been happening about 180 miles south of LA, ranging between like a 2.0 to a 4.9 or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We haven't felt anything here, but my little earthquake app was just going off yesterday, like every minute for 4 or 5 hours on the minute. I was like, this got to be something wrong. And no, it's like a national news story that something's going on. So hopefully it's relieving pressure under the earth and not leading to some giant cataclysmic earthquake.
And on that note, goodbye.
And on that note, go Broadway.
Yeah. Aaron, thank you.
Thanks, David. Good to see you.
Well, see you. You too.